Hey guys, it's Daniel. Welcome back to Tech Wright, and today we're doing a video that we've never actually done before. We are doing a video on... Alright, so realistically, I would like to start doing videos like this once a week. For those of you who don't know and have been watching this channel for a little while, I've actually been doing some photography for a while. I've got my handle in the corner of this video, as well as a link for you to directly go to my Instagram if you would like to follow me and check out some of my photos that I post. So I am going to kind of do a series, and I'm going to start slow. We're going to start with a Photoshop tutorial today on what I like to do with my scenic photos. Now everything is completely different, so realistically I would like to at least post a video every week or every other week on a tutorial for either Lightroom or Photoshop or a combination of both, just depending on what the photo needs. Without waiting any further, let's go ahead and jump into Photoshop and I'll show you my process. Alright guys, so we're in Photoshop, and the first picture that I did for the tutorial, I like taking scenic pictures just as much as I like taking portraits, and I'm trying to get in the habit of always keeping my camera with me, because the best shots are usually the shots that I don't even plan on taking, or I think they're gonna look like crap. So I took just a general picture of a campfire, and we're going to alter it and change it a little bit, just depending on how I feel. One of the things, and I did actually get this from Peter McKinnon, I'm operating on a Mac, and a PC is going to have some different shortcuts, but for the sake of this tutorial I will put my shortcuts and the keys that I use up in the other corner. So the first thing that I always do, and I do it just to stay in the habit, I do Shift Option Command N to create a new layer, and then Shift Option Command E. What that does is it creates a merged layer, so every single step that you do, it takes all of the previous steps and merges it into one new layer. So if you accidentally make a mistake or something goes wrong, you can just delete the top layer, create another merged layer, and then try again on whatever you're doing. And I would recommend, starting out, I would recommend doing small steps. Changing the white balance or the temperature of the photo. If you don't like it, when you get 6-7 layers in, it's a lot easier just to delete the top layer and do it again when you're doing small steps, so you don't have to completely start over. So one of the things that I always do first is I go up into the corner where your adjustments are, and then I'm going to scroll over where it says color balance. And I'm going to try to do this slow so that you can see what I'm doing. So I click the icon color balance. I always mess with this first. Obviously this is a campfire, it's nighttime, I want it to look warm. So I'm gonna push the reds up just a little bit. I don't want to get too crazy with it, so like that up here, that's way too far. So I'm going to tilt it just a little bit to give it a little bit more warmth. And then I may even take the yellows and bring them down. Obviously, that's way too much. So I'm gonna lower that down some. See, I think that looks good. And if you want, you can toggle back and forth and change the adjustment layer and see what it looks like before and after, whenever you click the eye in the bottom corner where your layers are. So once I have the temperature changed, usually I like to go into my curves, and I hated curves when I first started doing this because for some reason I couldn't really get the hang of it, and I was being over dramatic with everything because I didn't understand it until I watched someone's video. It was the only video I had watched of them. If I can find it, I will put a link in the description box below. I like to take dots and put them everywhere that the precursor X's in the squared box are on the diagonal line, so that you have more control, and that if you change your highlights, it doesn't go crazy. Now for this one, I like to show as much detail as possible, so I'm going to take the whites and I'm going to lower them down just a little bit. I don't want to get too crazy with it because I don't want the flame to look underexposed, but I'm going to lower that down some, and then I'm going to take my shadows and I'm going to bring those down some, because if you overexpose it, yeah, that looks pretty decent, but I like higher contrast images. So if you lower this down some, just a little bit, not too much, because I don't want to get crazy with it. I don't want to look like my camera was underexposed when I took the picture. So I'm going to bring that down a little bit. I'm going to bring this up just a tad. And then if you can check this right here, you see that? That's the famous S-curve that everyone likes to do and talk about, because it gives you a little bit more of a dynamic range for your images. And the shape of the S-curve, how intense it's going to be, is going to be completely different with every single photo. That's one of the things that I like about editing in Photoshop and Lightroom and photography in general, is unless you just completely white out an image, or you are going to develop a certain look that you want to go with. Okay, so now that I've done that, you can hit Shift Option Command N again, and Shift Option Command E to create a merged layer. So even if I turned these completely off right here, this is going to include all of this. So, and I generally like to do that. You can see a complete difference in the image itself, because that's going to allow you to see it before and after a lot better. Now, something that I really want to do with this photo, because I think it's going to look kind of cool, I like to emphasize certain colors. So, and this is a very unorthodox way. It may seem kind of professional, but I like to do what I like to do. So I'm going to hit Shift Option Command N to create a new layer. I'm not going to hit Shift Option Command E to create a merge layer, because I want to paint a specific color over top of this. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to click this. I'm going to just click a random red. It doesn't have to be specific. This is your preference. You might want to pick orange to accentuate the orange color more. But we'll get into that in just a few minutes. So I'm going to click just a random red. I want the red to be a little bit more bold than the red I see in here. So I'm going to click OK there. Then I'm going to click my paintbrush. I'm going to increase the size of the paintbrush. I'm going to bring that up. Actually, I'm going to bring that up a lot more. So let's see here. Yeah, that's fine. We'll do that. So everywhere I see red, I'm actually going to take and I'm going to paint over top of this. And it's going to look weird. It's going to look weird right now, but I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I see red there, I see red here, I see red there, here, here. Okay, so that looks a little ridiculous, right? I mean, that looks like crap. You don't want that. So now I'm going to change the blending mode from normal to soft light. Then take the opacity and lower that down to just one that satisfies you. So let's see here, before, after. See how it accentuates the color just a little bit more? You don't want to overdo it and go crazy with it, because it's going to kind of look fake. But now that I've added the red, it just pops it just a little bit more. So I like to spot clean or spot emphasize certain colors. So now that I've done that, I'm actually going to do Shift Option Command N again. Then I'm going to do the same thing with a different color. So I kind of want some more orange up in here, because this is a little bit blown out, and that's totally fine, because obviously it's a flame. So now I'm going to go to orange. I want to go orange, make sure it's a more saturated color than what is in the photo, or it's not going to really do anything. Hit OK again. Now I'm going to paint everywhere where I see or want orange to be. So, and for the sake of color blending purposes, I'm going to focus that around the red so that it blends a little bit better. And I'm going to put some of that on the wood here. So I want that to look like this. And again, it's going to look weird while you're doing it until the blend mode gets to where you want it to be. So I'm going to put like a pop of orange there, put a pop of orange right there. I'm going to put some orange up in here. Then change your blending mode to soft light and lower your opacity. I'm actually probably going to, let's see here, leave it about right there. That looks good. See, before and after on that color, I think that looks kind of good. I'm going to lower the opacity down just a little bit because I don't want my lines to show. So there's that. And you see this, and something that I really want to stress is this, as of right now, doesn't look that different than the original photo. But the trick is to make a lot of small changes that you don't really notice while you're editing. And then at the very end, all these small changes is going to result in a more quality photo. So it's going to make a big difference. And I'm going to show you this. We're going to do Shift Option Command N again. We're going to do Shift Option Command E to create a merged layer. So you can go ahead and turn these off. It's what I like to do, at least. So that way, whenever you toggle this on and off, look at the difference in the photo. The colors are a little bit more accentuated. And we haven't even gotten to this part yet, which is usually one of my favorite photo parts whenever I'm editing things like this. So now I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to Shift Option Command N again, Shift Option Command E. I'm going to change this color to probably a brown. Let's do that because I want to accentuate the dirt with the tint on the leaves from the flame. So whenever you pull this up, if you just move over, the color sampling tool is going to automatically pull up for you when you're trying to pick a color. So you can click and it's going to show you what that is. So I'm actually going to change this and move it over so it's a little bit lighter of a brown. And then I'm going to hit OK. Now I'm going to take a photo. See, you know what? I'm glad that actually I did this so that I can show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to delete this top layer here because I want this layer 6 to be a blank layer so I can change the color of the photo. So I'm just going to click delete. Didn't change the photo because of the way that we edited. The merged layers that are stacking everything on top of each other, if you make a mistake, that's what you want. So that way I can take a step back, create a new layer and do what I actually wanted to do, and it didn't mess anything up that I've done previously. So now that I've done that, I still have my color selected. I'm going to raise the size of my brush size a little bit because I'm going to be doing a larger area. And again, anytime you do something like this, it's going to look weird while you're doing it. And that's fine, because the end result is what matters here. It's what we're working for. So now that I've done that, I'm going to change it to soft light again. I'm going to lower my opacity down. Do you see the difference? The brown lowered it and it kind of made it more of a deep feel, which is what I like. So turning that on and off, I think that looks good. It lowered the colors and it even tinted the leaves a little bit more to my liking because I think it looks better. It looks more of a warm, deeper color that you want when you look at something like this. So now that I've got all of this done, I'm going to go in and I'm going to change the brightness and contrast. And see, one of the things that I want to mention here is when you lower your brightness, you're going to be able to see more of the flame. So I don't want to go too high because it's going to blow everything out and then you're going to lose detail that's over here toward the tips of the wood itself. If you lower that down, see, now you can start here to see the tip of the wood. And I like that. So I'm going to lower that down just a little bit more. About there, that looks good. And then I'm going to raise the contrast. And it took me a while to put this together because sometimes I'm just slow. But anytime you raise contrast, exposure lowers. So just be mindful of that. Sometimes I've even raised the exposure just a little bit before I raise up the contrast so that it kind of balances itself out a little bit. But always just keep that in mind whenever you're messing with stuff like this. All right, so now that I've pretty much done most of the things that I want to do to this photo, I'm going to hit Shift Option Command N. Again, Shift Option Command E. You guys are going to get so tired of me saying that, especially in these tutorials. So now I can turn all these off. And as long as I have the first layer selected before we made any changes and have that turned on, I can toggle this on and off and see the difference of the photo. So that versus this. I kind of think this is a more, for lack of a better term, sultry mood and relaxing to me, because this looks bright and there's not as much detail and it looks kind of overexposed. And then whenever you look at the changes that we've made, it's lowered it. We've got a little more detail, and then we've accentuated some colors that we want to accentuate. All right, you guys, so that was actually all of this tutorial. This was a very, very simple tutorial. My main objective was to show you my editing process more so than just editing the photo. And I wanted to start out with something simple so that I could teach you guys my workflow as opposed to what I see. Everyone's workflow is going to be different. Everyone's going to have a different style. If you hate this, then just take some of the tools that you have learned, if you learned any, and just apply it to your workflow, even if you're doing something completely different. And I'm going to try to do a different type of photo every single time I post a video so that you can see what I like to do, the process that I do, and how I do it. And then that way I hope that you guys learn and that you enjoyed this tutorial. Again, I'm going to post one like every week or every other week because I love doing photography just as much as I love filming videos. So on that note, put in the comments below something that you want to see me edit. By no means am I 100% a professional, but I have learned a lot of things over the years that I may be able to help you with and that I can teach you guys on. So put those comments down below. Let me know what you want to see. Be sure to like this video if you did, which I hope you did because I'm going to be posting more of these tutorials. And be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the notification button so that you're notified when I see a video. And also, Instagram and social media is in the description box, as well as everything that I film with. So I love all of you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and you guys have a good one. Peace.